What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Jacob and Me podcast show. Wow, this is how we start this. I am the host, Richard Verdillo, joined by the man with the noggin right beside me, or right across the table, Jacob Bullard. How you doing, Jacob?
Am I beside you or am I across the table?
Both.
Ooh, wow. Okay. I'm doing okay. How are you doing?
I'm doing excellent.
Excellent. Wow. Okay.
Excellent.
That's good.
I'm doing fine-ish.
Fine-ish.
Yeah.
So the longer you're talking here, than just like degrading. You were like, I'm excellent and I'm fine.
I'm starting to think about the holidays, or the because like we're like almost in the holidays, and I got a paper to write by the 17th.
Yikes.
So,
what do you do when you write a paper? How does that work? What's a paper?
Oh, it's my final.
What's homework? I don't know.
Okay. Anyways.
Does not compute.
Anyways, if you don't know what the Jacob and Me podcast is, ladies and gentlemen, it's where me and my friend Jacob here talk about anything and everything pop culture and nerd stuff, with video games, movies, TV shows, and anything else we like to jerk off to. This time we actually have a undrafted segment, which we're going to talk about a little bit in sports, and we get into history. Do we have anything after history, or is that it?
We have a few things after. We have 3 topics in our Pennsylvania Avenue, and 1 topic in undrafted. 3 topics, including this week in history.
Wow. Okay. Cool. I didn't know that.
I sent you the thing.
So I guess we're gonna talk about whatever you sent me.
Okay.
I
mean, I sent you like the list of topics.
Okay. Cool. That's fine. I don't remember, but okay. I should have looked at it before we started recording. It's
All
okay.
right. Well, maybe we'll amend how many topics we have.
All right. Here we go. Yes. Let us get into the first segment of the show.
Let's do it.
Young man.
Young man.
Let's get into some new releases.
All right. So, I wrote down a few movies that are coming out this week. This is kind of actually a quiet week for movies. I don't know necessarily that they deserve the full like synopsis treatment that we've been giving
Last
some of the big ones.
Last week was nothing really too, right?
Yeah, kind of. So the 3 that I have written down here, they all come out Friday the 7th, December 7th. The first being a movie called Vox Lux, which I honestly had not even heard of before looking this up. It is a Natalie Portman and Jude Law movie. Exactly.
Dude, Jude Law is in a lot of stuff lately.
He was in The Crimes of Grindelwald.
This movie, and then he's going to be in Captain Marvel.
Oh, yeah, he is in Captain Marvel. That's right. Okay. But that doesn't come out till March.
But I think maybe it's a smaller role too. You only saw him at the end of the trailer. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. So Natalie Portman and Jude Law. The movie has something to do with like some discovery that like helps a pop star. I mean, Natalie Portman's like this like weird pop star singer girl person. I don't know. It looked kind of weird. Anyway, that movie's coming out. If you like Natalie Portman and Jude Law, I guess you'll go see.
Is this like an Oscar thing?
I don't think so.
Maybe it is. I would be surprised if you saw this on Golden Globe. I'll go watch it for you guys and let you know.
Okay, yeah, report back. Also coming out this week is a movie called Mary Queen of Scots. I'm not really sure like how exactly historically accurate this is supposed to be, but it is I like literally practice saying this girl's name and
it says Emma Stone in it, right?
No.
Oh, that's a different one?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
something else, but go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of the movie, but I know what you're talking about. This has Margot Robbie and the girl from Lady Bird. I don't know how to pronounce her name.
Oh, I know what this is now. This is where this movie's finally coming out, actually.
Sure?
Yeah, 'cause I saw a trailer for this like in the summer.
'Cause I think Margot Robbie is playing Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah.
And Charisse Ronan.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah, she's Irish. She was in Brooklyn too, and
okay.
Lady Bird, and what was the other movie? I can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah.
Anyway, so that comes out Friday the 7th of December as well. And then the third movie is actually a Netflix release, also this Friday, the 7th of December. It's called Mowgli, Legend of the Jungle. It's a like motion capture sort of like darker adaptation of the Jungle Book.
Okay.
Andy Serkis is director and the star. So it's Andy Serkis, Christian Bale, Kate Blanchett, and Benedict Cumberbatch. It was a limited release in theaters. I think it was only like major markets like L.A., New York, Chicago, something like that.
So it already passed.
So like it's been out in like very few theaters for a few weeks, and now it's a Netflix release.
Okay. Yeah, 'cause I remember that Jungle Book came out, and then I remember this one got announced like right after I think the other one did.
So this one that I think is supposed to be like a little like darker, scarier kind of.
I'm fine with that. I'll probably watch this. We should watch this.
So that's gonna be up on Netflix. If you guys are interested in that. That takes us to TV Land. I only have one new series. This time of year there aren't a whole lot of series that are coming out anyway. But the 5th of December is the second season of The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel on Amazon Prime, a show that I really liked watching and came out this time last year. It won multiple Emmys for like best show and for like comedy. Rachel Brosnahan was best actress for the Emmys. So yeah, a lot of good things. A lot of people really like the show. I really like the show. It's really funny.
I haven't watched
well
it
written.
yet. My mom and my stepdad have watched this show. My mom really liked it.
Yeah, I think it's really good.
So I haven't got a chance to, 'cause I'm still watching Homecoming, and then I just watched.
Oh, okay.
I just started watching again Friday Night Lights.
Dust.
So good.
One of these days I'll finish Parks and Rec. I'm almost there. I'm like season 7, episode like 12. I think I only have like 10 or 12 episodes left.
Damn, that's a lot.
There.
That's a lot. And you've already watched Office like twice?
No, just once.
Twice.
Just once.
I mean, like all the episodes like you randomly watch on TV, it's like twice.
I don't really watch opposite episodes randomly on TV.
Anyways.
I'm sorry, I don't. And then in the world of video games, I have 4 things written down, 2 of which are DLC releases. The 4th of December, which is today, as of recording. There is the first. Today's the 4th, right? Yeah. Okay.
21 more days till Christmas.
Congratulations.
Did I do that right?
Yes.
Do you count? Okay, yeah. Never mind.
Okay. Moving on from that math dilemma. December 4th is the release of the first Assassin's Creed DLC. It's called Legacy of the First Blade. Episode 1 is Hunted. So it's all about like the origins of the hidden blade. Yeah, that's definitely what it looks like. It's actually like on the back side of his wrist. It's not like the traditional like finger missing like hidden blade.
Yo, bro, cut my finger.
Yeah, it's not like that. It's like this like almost like sword that comes out off the top of his. Anyway. First DLC for Assassin's Creed, and also the latest DLC for Destiny 2. If anyone still plays that game, I don't know, let me know.
Yeah, I think people do. It's just a very niche now.
It's called the Black Armory. I have not been invested in Destiny 2 for a long time, so I have no clue like what's going on there. But it's coming out, and if you're interested.
Unfortunately.
December 7th, PUBG is getting its PlayStation 4 release. I really don't think anyone cares at this point because Call of Duty's out. So like
yeah, Blackout has been literally killing it right now.
Yeah.
One of the tweets I was gonna have, but I just took it out just 'cause all it was like, it was just literally praising how good Blackout's been, and then since its release, where they tweak things, and it's made it better. So, but yeah, it's been killing it right now. I've enjoyed it. We haven't been playing it 'cause lately we've been playing Battlefield 5 online, lately with friends, and I've really enjoyed playing Battlefield 5 online. I know some of you guys have
really enjoyed.
Yeah, but I've had a blast. Regardless of the bugs, like the time I came out of the tank and like went through the map, I was just like, "Oh my god, I love this."
There's this really weird bug in the tank where like if you're in the gunner seat, you like can't aim down the sights.
Yeah.
It like puts the gun like almost off camera to your right.
I think you're supposed to like be in front of it, I think.
Yeah.
And kind of like, but it doesn't.
So like if you're not aiming down the sights, it gives you the reticle like it's supposed to. But the moment you aim down the sights, the gun moves like away from you and you can't see anything.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's kind of frustrating.
But still, going out of the tank and falling through the map was like a blast because like I haven't done that since like Call of Duty 4.
And then I guess one thing I am really enjoying is the sort of like launch physics when you get like bombed or like grenaded and you like literally just go flying, because that seems to be me all the time. It's just I'm running around minding my own business and some Junkers comes in and just bombs me like 300 yards away.
We should have recorded yesterday, but yesterday when we jumped in our first game, Jacob literally got strafed by a plane twice and just got launched right in front of me. I would spawn and like the strafe wouldn't be like in my direction, it'd be right where you were, and like all I see is Jacob go whoo. I was like,
Team Rockets blasting off.
I can't revive you. You're too far.
Yeah, it's been pretty bad. But I'm enjoying it. It's like definitely frustrating at times, but
Oh, I've not been.
I'm
I'm
having
only
fun.
frustrated. With myself. If anything, it's more my fault than the game's fault.
I think they need to balance some weapons a little bit in that game. I think that game would benefit from a little bit.
Yeah, I
just
think,
a little like a rebalance.
I did see something or an article that talked about the next update and what they were going to do to the
Okay,
game, but
that'd
it's
be
not going to be in my tweets because it's not that important.
Oh, well then. Finally, probably the most significant. I would say probably the most significant video game release for the rest of the month, rest of the year. December 7th is finally the release of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Little known game.
Little game called Super Smash Bros.
Ultimate. You know, if you haven't played it,
Releasing obviously on the Nintendo Switch. Full lineup of all characters from the past Smash Brothers games, and I think I almost said Miyamoto. It's not Miyamoto. Whoever the dude is that's making this game. He said that you can actually unlock all the characters within like 4 or 5 hours. It's like not this big grind to get. They made it pretty easy basically to get everyone. So yeah. So if you're, I don't know anyone that doesn't like Smash Brothers. So like, I'm excited that this game's coming out. And it's 2-0 Manchester City. So
sorry, we're watching soccer.
best team in the world.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool, dude. I don't know. We're gonna have some sick ass parties, dog. No bets though, 'cause I'm not gonna bet anything. 'Cause I'm gonna lose every time if I try to.
Bet me $1,000 you'll beat me in Smash Brothers.
I think I didn't do the audio right on this for some reason. To like
Action. I forgot what we were saying. What were we talking about? Oh, we're talking about Smash Brothers.
Smash Bros.
Settle it in Smash.
Yeah, definitely no wagering in Smash for me at all.
Why not? I'll only beat you like 7.
I'll wager against anyone else but you.
Okay. I'm looking forward to hopefully playing that game mode where it like eliminates characters from contention, like once you play a game with them. That's what I'm looking forward to. So it's like someone picks Pikachu that's not Anthony, and then Pikachu can't be picked, and then someone has to pick. So the first round, what needs to happen is someone needs to pick Pikachu and Pichu, because we can't have any of that lightning bolt stuff going around, right? So then both those guys are gone, and then Anthony will never win a game.
Yeah, we'll see.
That's our mission, should we choose to accept it.
Yes.
So yeah, so that is it for the new releases. I guess kind of a long list relative to the last couple weeks, with like at least one thing in every little category there. So check those things out if you are interested.
Yes, and let us know down below if you're excited for the Smash Bros.
Let us know who your main is.
Oh yeah, let us know who your main is.
I'm a Falco guy.
I'm a Link.
I've heard that Young Link, 'cause they added in like obviously all the old characters, so they brought back Young Link. I've heard that Young Link is a little OP.
Good. Very good.
It's supposedly the best version of Link. I was listening to, I think it was the Kinda Funny Gamescast, where they were talking, like they sent Tim to go play it, and he came back and he was like, "This is the best version of Link there's ever been."
Well, there's 3 Links for me to play now, so we're good.
Isn't there 4?
4.
Yeah, 'cause isn't the Breath of the Wild one different from the?
Oh, they're bringing in that one too?
Yeah.
So we have OG Link. We have what was the one? Wind Waker
There's
Link.
Toon Link.
Toon Link is Wind Waker Link.
Right.
And then we have the Young Link, like you just said, and then there's Breath of the Wild Link. There's 4 Links?
Maybe.
That's insane.
Maybe Breath of the Wild. Maybe they just gave the regular Link the Breath of the Wild skin.
Okay.
Maybe there is just 3.
Okay.
But yeah.
All right.
It's looking up.
Here we go. Let's get into some video game tweets, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's do it.
So, most of the stuff. Sorry, I got a burp. Is pretty late. I only found 2 for today, unfortunately, that popped up.
Womp,
but
womp, womp.
going back 3 days, unfortunately, too. I didn't find anything. But regardless, the first 2 are basically the Game Awards related. Both being announced, 2 games. You already mentioned before we started recording. The first one is a Games Radar tweet, and it's Dragon Age 4 could be announced at Game Awards. It's a story, character focus, and the BioWare is still figuring it out. Tweet.
Bum, 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 bum.
So that was one of them. And then the other one is Obsidian will reveal its next RPG game at the Game Awards.
Oh, dang.
So that was another big one.
So
PC Gamer.
Obsidian is
owned by
Xbox now.
Xbox, but this article didn't specifically say if it was gonna be an exclusive or not. So
There's-
we're gonna find out. It'll be confirmed when at the Game Awards. If this is
There's
around.
no way now that
Yeah.
whatever Obsidian is making is coming up on the PS4.
Yeah, I know. But
It might be PC.
But who knows? Because maybe this game was already being developed before the contract. So we'll see.
There's no way.
We'll see. It depends on
that
the
would be like Spider-Man being on Xbox.
Well, no,
Not even like that. It would be like
no. This is
whoever makes Kingdom Hearts, that being on Xbox. The new one. Is the new one coming to Xbox?
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts 3?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
no, because like just the way the contract. Maybe that was we'll see. We're gonna find out in the Game Awards.
There's no way.
But-
There's no way.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was gonna be on both consoles.
There's no way.
But there's details on that. It was it was all linked to weird tweets from Obsidian and stuff. So there's some cool art. It looks weird. Oh, it looks kind of like 1910s, 1920s ish.
Ooh.
Maybe I'm hopefully it's not like kind of like BioShock influenced, but we'll see. But Game Awards, yes, we're gonna try to get this actually out before the Game Awards is like on Friday.
Yeah.
So we'll try to get this out before that. Well, at least the audio for sure, but the actual video we'll try to get out. Next one. This one's a Eurogamer tweet. This one's for Jacob.
Uh-oh.
It turns out FIFA is ideal for teaching mental health, patience, and resilience, or about resilience.
I guess I kind of wish that I would have read this full article because like I want to know like the context, like resilience from what?
Okay, well, let's be frank about this. This is all anecdotal. This is a person's experience with the game. So it was a writer that wrote this experience with the game.
Okay.
So he goes through like meanings and whatnot, and he goes kind of in depth. It's just not really like, it's just anecdotal, really. That's all really. There's no like anything that back it up. You know what I mean? It was just this person's experience.
Okay. This person's experience is whack. All right, because there is nothing about playing FIFA.
I don't think he was playing Ultimate Team. I think you said there's some online games he played, but there was nothing like Ultimate Team like the intensity that you're playing. So
Because there is nothing to me that is more triggering than playing FIFA. Like playing FIFA does not teach me anything about resilience. It like makes me less resilient because that game gets under my skin constantly. Literally constantly, just because of like the way things work in that game. So, if anything, it teaches me how not to be resilient and how to just rage at a video game.
It's okay.
Regularly.
It's okay. Take a deep breath.
I'm on like a little FIFA 19 hiatus right now because I was playing Weekend League and got just triggered.
No, you got FIFA PTSD.
Yeah. And like I can't right now. I just can't with that game.
All right. The next three are all PlayStation related. This one comes from the video game / news. This is a Verge article on the PlayStation Classic. Oh, what's the actual title of the tweet? Shoot tits. The PlayStation Classic has a secret debug menu that can be reached with a specific keyboard. So there's some weird bugs apparently that are in the game. I forgot which exact game it was, but there's actually certain keyboards in this article. It'll have the actual keyboards that you need to buy to do this. But it's also very dangerous to do because you might mess up the console. So there's something. It actually goes into detail on like how to fix this like bug. I guess I don't know why is it like you would want to fix it. I guess, but also you can access like you can I guess hack it with this certain keyboard as well.
Okay.
The next one is a PlayStation 2 one. This is the adapter is the easiest way to connect, or this adapter is the easiest way to connect a PlayStation 2 to HDMI. So if you're trying to play HDMI or HD with PlayStation 2, it's this site called The Pound, apparently. It's a Kotaku article. Yes, it's called Pound, and it's a $30 cable, but you'll be able to play HD, or you'll be able to play on HD.
You'll be able to play it on HDTV.
Yeah, HDTV with this adapter. So the link to the site is on there as well. But yeah, so yeah, if you are struggling to play like the original God of War 1 or 2, or the original Killzone, or just I don't know other PlayStation 2 classes I can think of that I played a lot of besides those two, and NCAA 06. I played a lot of Battlefront, a lot of Battle. I played Battlefield on there too, Medal of Honor. That's when I started to get into NCAA, Madden and stuff. But yeah, the last PlayStation 1 is my favorite one. PSN is currently down.
Dust. When was this? Like today?
This was yesterday actually.
Okay. Oh really? That's weird.
Yeah.
'Cause I was playing MLB The Show yesterday.
It happened. They cleared it up yesterday morning apparently.
Okay.
But yeah, no. I think that when this article came out, the PSN was back up, actually. But yeah, everything was basically down. This is an IGN article, which they but it said it was PSN for PS4. They said PS4 again. It's probably PS3. I think it's a typo. Web and Vita is down for account management, online gaming, social aspects, PS Now, and the PlayStation Store, and among other services.
So basically everything.
Yes.
Yikes.
But yeah, since the article has come out, it was back in working in normal order, I guess. But yes, that was when I had to say it,
just had to take your dig at PlayStation.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
I think I just have one more, and that's it. And this one is concerning back to our Fallout 76 kind of stuff. This is
to the Fallout, baby.
Kotaku article. Modders are making Fallout 76 less frustrating to play, is the title of it. So basically there's these modders that just kind of have they just fixed things they probably should have fixed or are going to fix eventually. One of them is like a UI total facelift to optimize, I guess. Another one is to have like a bar for when you pick lock. And there's also a video linked to it on it's like a bunch of mods, I guess, that you can apply to your game. I think this is only for PC players though, unfortunately. But for those PC players at the moment, you can watch this video. It should have all the links to all the actual mods that you need to download, so you can make those little tweaks. But yeah, a lot of it goes into the perks too as well. But yeah, it's unfortunate that this game has been at the state of where it is right now. But
I hope that this game can pull like a No Man's Sky or like a Sea of Thieves or like something like that, where it's like they're kind of quiet for a little bit but make a bunch of significant changes to how the game works.
I think a lot of it could have been avoided by,
or even like Siege, something like that.
A lot of it could have been avoided by I think I was watching or listening to GameScoop or something else, and they were recommending they should have just made this a games preview at release.
Oh yeah, I listened to that episode. They wanted it to be like an early access thing.
Yeah, they would recommend. I would think they would have gotten away with all this if they would have just said that, and then have a full release later on.
Right.
Which would have been fine, actually. I think that would have been perfect. I don't think, because obviously early access people would pay I don't know, $30-$40 maybe.
Yeah, it's $40 probably would have been fine.
And then if you once the actual game launched, then you pay $60.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they would have gotten this all this would have been. Oh yeah, that makes sense as game preview.
Yeah.
But since they made it a full release, they probably could have avoided it.
Really, this has turned into quite the tarnish on, but not only the Fallout franchise, but Bethesda as a whole. Just how everything went down. How everything went down with the. Did you see? I don't remember if we talked about this last week. The whole all the people that paid the $200 limited edition, and they were supposed to get a special cloth bag as part of their backpack thing, and they made it out of nylon instead. And then everyone was oh, what did we pay $200 for or whatever? And then now a couple days ago they announced it. They're starting production on the original bags that were supposed to be in the.
Oh.
It's they're gonna send everyone, and then their compensation for switching out the bag was $5 of in-game credits. So everyone was kind of so they had just
500
stumble
items or something like that.
Yeah. So it was just stumble after stumble, and then the game doesn't work very well. There's all sorts a lot of people have run into relatively game-breaking bugs, and then
there's
in general it's not a great game. So it's really.
There's definitely people out there that are enjoying this game. This is their kind of game. If they're a modder, they would probably love to play this game because they can fix it and that's what they like to do. And I've heard people that they weren't expecting a good game or not a good game. They weren't expecting it to be work well in the first place. So there's a lot of obviously bugs, but they're still enjoying it somehow. I guess, you know what I mean? It's just there's a preference. But I think the most like weird. Obviously we're not gonna see a Fallout game for a while. Actually, we probably won't see another Fallout game for like another decade.
Yeah, that's what that same Gamescube episode they were talking about. That how like Todd Howard's team are currently working on Starfield, which is probably at least 2 years out. And then after that, they're going to be working on Elder Scrolls 6, which is probably like at a minimum, I would say 5 years out. Maybe 4 years out, probably 5 years out. And then after that is going to be Fallout 5.
We won't get Fallout 5 until like the end of the next console phase, basically.
Maybe. I mean, it could be that long. Or maybe they'll like expand to a second like big team or something. I don't know.
Yeah, unless they do what they did with Obsidian. But, I mean, maybe, because what Obsidian did was do it in their way, but still have like the kind of skeleton there as well.
The like core mechanics were basically the same, yeah.
But they did expand on like just certain things that just made the game more functional, more enjoyable, and adding like a hardcore mode was actually pretty interesting. I played it for a little bit and I was like, oh my god, this is too hard, I'm out. But yeah, it's kind of sucks, but I think it'll be fine. After it'll probably be a fully functional game by spring, I would assume, to where it's actually playable. But there's gonna be so much stuff already.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff coming
pipeline
out in like
to where
the first 6 months of next year.
Yeah. But I mean, there's still gonna be people playing it. I don't know how many people are gonna be playing it still, but there's still gonna be people playing it.
Well, yeah, but I mean, there are still people playing Sea of Thieves. But like, was that game a success?
Well, no, obviously. But what I'm saying is like what they like, with what like a perfect example is like what Siege has done. And the reason why Siege has been so successful is because those guys that were still playing it from day one were telling their friends like, "Oh, dude, they fixed this. Like, come try to play it now." And then people come play it, come back and like probably play it, and then like, okay, well, actually, this is playable now.
I think the difference.
I think it'll probably be a Games Pass game by summer, honestly.
Maybe, I guess, but
Or maybe
I would say the difference is that a lot of people bought Siege. Not like a ton of people, but like a good amount of people bought Siege and like played it, so they were familiar with like the core structure of the game, and then like maybe went away from it and came back later when it was like improved.
Yeah,
I think that what's happened with Fallout 76 is that not a lot of people at all have bought the game at all, and I think that it's their struggle is going to be like getting people to make the purchase, not because like Siege being the like multiplayer game that it is, it had an opportunity to get its teeth into the pro scene, and so people are watching Siege on Twitch. It like grew in a whole wide variety of ways to like bring people back to it or bring people to it for the first time, and Fallout's not going to have that option.
This is what you do. You just pay PewDiePie to pay it for an hour. Just give him $1 million to play for an hour and stream it, and then people are like, "Oh, I want to play this now." That's it. So there you go.
Sure.
That'll probably work, actually. That's a good marketing plan.
Probably not.
Like, PewDiePie, do you want to play it for an hour and, like, just show people how good the game is right now? And, like, boom, watch. Boom, $1 million copies sold.
I think they have quite the mountain to climb to get that game anywhere near a successful point. And I don't even know that it's worth it. I would just kind of rather them just walk away and make Starfield really awesome.
I think, well, they're already working on Starfield, so.
I know. Make it awesome. I
think this is going to be like their C or B team that are going to be working on the fixes. It's not going to be their A team.
Yeah, that's probably true, but put everyone on Starfield so that Starfield's really awesome.
Well,
because this game
Starfield's going to have to look like
this game has tarnished
or
Bethesda.
It's going to have to look like Red Dead Redemption, Saddest Dog. Like, none of this. Like, the engine's going to have to be a total just haul.
We'll see. They have they have quite the stain on their reputation right now with Fallout 76.
All right. Well, let's keep moving because we got a lot to cover.
All right.
What's next?
There was a little known movie from some small company called Marvel or something like that. They released a new trailer for their like 17,000th movie called Captain Marvel. So I guess we're going to talk about that. Yeah, I don't know. Some random character.
What's the lead actress's name?
Brie Larson.
Brie Larson. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is it was rumored like a
trailer
couple
number 2.
Like the last two days, it was like rumored for that the new trailer was gonna come out basically, and then it came out because people were like, I think the poster leaked, I believe.
Yesterday they released the poster.
No, like the poster got leaked the day before or something like that.
Oh,
That's
okay,
that's why
maybe, I
everyone's like,
don't know.
we're probably gonna get a new Captain Marvel trailer, and then obviously yesterday we did. Like you texted me like we were gonna get because I googled it as soon as I saw the leak, and I was like, okay, there's nothing I bet. And then you told me like, oh, dude, yesterday when I was working, I was like, oh, the new Captain Marvel trailer's up, and I was like, oh, okay. And I looked and I was like, okay. So we're gonna just talk about it for a little bit, I guess. What'd you think?
I was pretty underwhelmed actually. I guess the like Brie Larson with like the costume that they're giving her and such, I think she's probably gonna be fine as Captain Marvel. But it didn't have. I don't know. This movie lacked the Marvel MCU kind of charm.
Yeah, definitely.
That's what I felt like it was missing for such a. The way that the smaller characters have been added in, typically there's a lot of like humor in those movies. You think of like Ant-Man, I would say Guardians when it first came out, stuff like that. Like the lesser known characters that have been introduced, they just have a certain vibe to them that this one lacks.
Well, it's only the trailer, obviously, but definitely I can see that. Even with like with Fury, which is Samuel L. Jackson's character, it doesn't feel the same.
Mm-hmm.
This almost felt more or less like a. I don't want to be a dick, but it felt like a DC trailer.
Yikes!
A little bit. I had that little bit, just like a little bit of a flat line, and a lot of the lines weren't getting me hyped up for it, like the scenes that we saw.
Yeah, I just felt like this trailer never really got going. It was just.
But also, like I think we're also hitting like the fatigue stage, kind of in a way. Maybe we're getting close to it. We're starting to hit that threshold, I believe.
I don't know. I don't know that. I think that sentence has been said so many times since the MCU started that like I.
Well, like no, this is like me actually saying for the first time for me.
Okay.
Because what we've had, obviously, we just got through Infinity War 1, and we're gonna watch Infinity War 2. But I think it's like the fatigue for like the smaller characters. This is what I really mean, not for the main characters that we've been watching for the last like decade. But for like the smaller characters, or I'm not saying Captain Marvel is a small character, but she's not an Avenger. You know what I mean? Even though in the comics book series, she's just not as big.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
Yeah,
Obviously, this movie's probably gonna try to make it look like she's bigger than what she is. My problem is when they started to talk about her and she's talking about like, oh, she's the strongest character in the Marvel universe. I was like, oh, okay, come on, like. It's a character you're just introducing at the end of the Marvel, like Infinity War, like you're already like in between both of them, basically. You can't just like throw like, oh no, this is the most powerful. Like, I got a little just annoyed by that. Not that she's a woman or like that, but I'm just like, yo, like, you should have introduced like the strongest character so that we know that's the strong. Like for me, it's like Thor, like power wise, has a lot. Like when he came in through that battle and stuff, I was like, whoa, good. Thor.
Thor
just went to another level, bro. But like, I don't even like Thor either. But I was like, dude, this is sick. When they came in with Groot and Rocket, and I was like, oh my, this is
the guy when he's like.
That's when I was like, I got a boner for Thor for some reason right now. But like, I was like, Captain Marvel. I'm like, we'll see.
For the record, Scarlet Witch is supposed to be the strongest of all of them.
Well, yeah.
But they hamstrung themselves because they don't have any X-Men.
Yeah,
because she's not an X-Men or like a mutant. I forget what the like name that they're like the whatever like title they gave her or whatever. In any case, what this movie feels like and what Ant-Man 2 ended up being like is I almost wish that that there had been no other MCU movies between the two Avenger films. Because both of these, was there a third one? I don't think so. I think it was just Ant-Man and this, right? Between the two Avenger films. There wasn't another one that I'm forgetting. Ant-Man and the Wasp. There was nothing this fall.
No, the only movie was in the beginning of the year was Black Panther.
But Black Panther was before Avengers.
That's what I'm saying. It was
okay,
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So there's only been these two between. I almost wish that they had just like let everyone kind of, I guess, in theory, based on the end of Infinity War, Captain Marvel is going to have some sort of major role just because of the post-credit scene with Sam Jackson, with Fury.
I think
where he like calls her.
It's not that I would have. I think I would have had the her or Captain Marvel, and then change the slot with the Ant-Man. because they're like, I want that right now. Like I felt like I was like, I want that now, but like it's been so long now where I'm like, I'm kind of like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
But like I was like this for the last year's beginning release with Black Panther. I wasn't too hyped on it, and I feel like I'm not ready for it yet. Maybe once we get like a week or two out of the movie when the movie's released, then I'll be like, okay, now I want to watch this. Like I'm starting to
Possibly
get the fever for it.
I almost think, because I'm trying to think about. I know Ant-Man was like shown for the first time in his own movie, but like of the other, like Black Panther came in Civil War,
Yes.
and there just been like some of the other kind of side characters.
Strange was in his own movie first.
Was he?
Yeah.
Was he not in a post credit for?
No. He was only in the post credit for
Civil War.
No.
Isn't it the end of Civil War where it's that scene of him and Thor sitting with each other?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. But I think Strange came out before Civil War.
I don't remember. In any case, I almost wish that they had just like introduced Captain Marvel in Avengers, and then maybe given her own movie later.
Yeah.
Instead of I don't know. It just, with it being so separate from the timeline, because this movie's set in like the 80s or 90s.
Yeah. She's like a pilot.
And it similar to, like I said, to Ant-Man and the Wasp. Like this whole movie, as far as we know, is gonna have basically nothing to do with like the current MCU story. And then at the end, there's gonna be another post-credit scene that ties it to, just like at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp. There's a post-credit scene. It's like, oh, like they actually were affected by the end of Infinity War or whatever. But like the movie itself has no.
Well, you're gonna learn how Fury lost his eye, probably. Is what I'm guessing. You're gonna see why what's his name from Guardians 1 turned bad. I forgot his name. The main villain in that one. You'll see Jude Law, and then you're gonna see actually the Rogan.
Coulson's back.
Coulson's back. No, is it Ronan, and then his little side, the black guy. I forgot his name. He was in Guardians 1 too. So they were working together, obviously, with Captain Marvel. So you're gonna see how they went bad. So it's gonna be kind of interesting to see that. And then Jude Law is supposed to be Captain or Adam, I think eventually, because like at the end of the Guardians 2, you see the capsule. I think that's supposed to be Jude Law.
Oh, is Jude Law Adam? Okay.
I think so. I think he's like reincarnated or something like that into that. But yeah, we'll see. Honestly.
Wait, but wouldn't that Adam? Wait. When's Guardian 2 set?
I don't know, dude. Honestly, we have to like sit down and like actually look at the timeline. We're not gonna do it right now.
Because that would make Guardians 2 set in like the 70s.
I don't know.
Okay.
We'll find out, honestly. Let us know down in the comments down below.
Wait, that can't be.
Okay. Dude, shut up.
Chris Pratt is Star-Lord is not old. He's not old enough for that movie to have been set that late.
What do you mean?
Like Chris Pratt or Star-Lord's character is not old enough for that movie to have been set in the 70s or 80s.
I don't know. We'll find out, dude. They're gonna hit us with some weird stuff. But actually, what are we gonna talk about next?
Both of us separately saw a boxing film over the last few days, so we're gonna review that.
Okay, but before we start to do that, let us know in the comments down below of what you thought of the Captain Marvel trailer. Do you think we're getting a little too fatigued or not as well? And let us know in the comments down below.
Is there such thing as fatigue of Marvel movies?
Well, we're gonna find out, and we're gonna talk about the next movie right now, which, so we did watch separately. We're gonna talk about Creed 2, the movie that released a week and a half ago. Yes. Okay. Which stars Anthony B. Jordan as.
How about Michael B. Jordan?
Or Michael B. Jordan? That's okay. My bad. Sorry. I don't know why I say Anthony. Who plays as Adonis Creed, right? Who is obviously Apollo Creed. I like the first movie's like kind of fresh in my mind as well, so I'm kind of talking like that. It's like I watched it right before I watched the second one.
He's a bastard child.
Yes.
Should be Adonis Snow.
But anyways, what was I talking about? Jesus.
Michael B. Jordan.
Yes, so Michael B. Jordan, this is basically what was it, like a year after or two the first one? would you say?
I'd say like 2 to 3 probably.
Yeah, 2 to 3 years after this, and they won. Basically, the beginning of the movie starts with him winning the heavyweight title, and then all this like whole train of just news of him, becoming like a father, like him and his longtime girlfriend, I forgot her name.
Bianca something.
Bianca, but her actual
Tessa Thompson.
Tessa Thompson. There you go. Then they found out that she's pregnant, which is kind of funny how they found out. You have to watch a movie to find out how they found out. But they're like, we'll work through this. Love you, kisses, and then they get engaged as well. And then we find out. Also, the movie begins with the other side, the protagonist, which is what's his name? His son.
Antagonist.
What's his actual name? The son's name?
The actor's name?
Yeah. No. Like the character's name.
Oh, Victor Drago.
Yeah, Victor Drago, who is Ivan Drago's son. And then we find out, we see him in the beginning, and then basically it's like an immovable object versus an unstoppable force kind of like thing to build up to the fight, which took a while to actually get to, which was like the part of the movie.
Really?
Well, I mean, kind of in a way. Like after, like when you get all the news, and then she has the baby, I think, right? No. She had the baby after or before the fight?
She had the baby after the first fight.
Okay. So after the first fight. So basically a whole year they were waiting for him to...
Because she was pregnant when he was in the hospital.
Yeah, technically, like in the actual storyline, she was like almost a year after to like build up to the fight. And like, who are you going to fight next, basically? And then he told Rocky, who is Sylvester Stallone's character. Obviously everyone knows that, but like, yeah, I'm going to take this fight. Are you with me or not me? He's like, I'm not gonna do it again. I'm not gonna. I forgot what he said. Like, I'm not gonna watch someone die again or something like that.
Well, he was saying like, I forget the phrase that Adonis used, and he said like, that's exactly what your father said, and he died right here in these hands.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so they basically kind of part, and kind of like ugly the departure of them two, because they've been together obviously for the first movie, and they kind of connected. And then you see him, what's it called? Basically go through the fight on his own, but he uses his dad's son. His dad's trainer's son is his trainer, so they're back together, I guess. I forgot the guy's name.
I don't remember the son's name.
Yeah, the son's name. But like basically it's like a team up again of like the original Apollo team. And they go to the fight, and he basically gets murdered. He almost dies, but it was a DQ, so it kind of made sense. Like, I thought they were kind of clever with that. Like, they didn't like knock him out, but also like he was on his one knee, so it kind of like, they're gonna have to fight again. So that was nice to kind of like not have that hole in a way. And then we basically see a redemption of him coming out of the hospital. Rocky visits him, and he's like, "What are you doing here? What are you doing?" Wait, no, is his left eye?
Yeah, it was his left eye.
Like, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? And then you basically see like them patch their relationships kind of slowly, eventually, and then she has a baby, and then that's when they kind of like reconnect. By that time, they're already like kind of training in a way. And then they were like, okay, we're gonna do this now, and like that was like when like, okay, the big wheels are on the train, and you know they did some kind of like what was it, Rocky 3? Similar to like Rocky 3? When
yes.
When Rocky Balboa,
because he gets the crap out of him by Clubber Lang, and then
then
like
Mr.
comes back to.
But like the training's wise. He's like, when he went to go train before the fight, he's like, look, you see what these guys had? That's what you had, but you don't, like, because I saw them in their eyes, because they're so hungry. And like they're like, you kind of saw that in a way. I kind of saw that similarity to when they went out to the desert, obviously, and trained. But you kind of saw that the guy that was like the first guy you saw who he like knocks out. Eventually, you kind of see like him kind of having like, I want what you have, kind of in a way. And then they basically train. He has this moment where he's like running in the middle of the road in the desert, and like, and then when he got back up, he falls, and he's like, get up, kid. And then he gets up and he keeps running, and he has his own Rocky moment again. And then you basically get up to the fight. The kid's there, obviously. Or no, the kid's not there, but his mom's there again. And then they fight, and it was like 6 rounds? I believe maybe 6, 7. I don't even know. Maybe it was like 1 round away from
it was more. I think it was a little
like
bit
11.
I think it was like 10 or 11.
Okay. Well, basically, you have to watch it. We don't want to spoil that part, but you basically have to watch it. So he had to win in a certain way to actually win the fight, and he did. Oh, actually, no. He actually won the fight by the towel. But this time,
Which was ironic.
yeah. So it was ironic. So you have to kind of watch, obviously, the fourth one, Rocky 4, to kind of get the context of all this. I would definitely recommend obviously watch all of them, but if you don't have the time, just watch Rocky.
You can skip 5. It's okay.
Yeah, just watch Rocky 4, and then you can definitely watch 1. Or if you already seen Creed 1, you're fine, but you'll get the context of Creed 2 if you never watched Rocky 4. But yeah, so he basically wins. He retains his title, and the kind of nod at the end there, where he was like looking down at Rocky, was like, "Yo, dude, you gonna come up and celebrate?" He's like, "No, it's your time." I thought that was like kind of like nice in a way, but who knows? What the next movie is gonna be?
Is there gonna be a next one?
I think so.
Where do they go with it?
I don't know.
Exactly. See, I think that this is gonna be, I think this might be the last of the Rocky movies.
Maybe.
I think they've already announced. I know this is not really related, but like there's another Rambo movie coming, and like that's gonna be the last Rambo movie. I almost feel like Sylvester Stallone's like working up towards retirement, basically.
He's like 75.
No, I know, but like
no, but I was just saying like I'm gonna work up to be retired at 75.
Well, I mean, like Clint Eastwood's 98.
Yeah, but Clint Eastwood's a man.
Okay. Alrighty then. So I think that I just there's not an obvious path for Creed 3 without what are you gonna do now? Go get Clubber Lang's son?
No, I think what they're gonna do.
Michael B. Jordan becomes the trainer.
No. They're gonna. I think they would do what they did in Cars, the latest Cars. If you ever watch the latest Cars, or maybe it might stretch. I think the Rocky might not be in the next one. They might just like. I think it would be nice, or I mean not nice. I mean it's not nice, but like kind of have like the next one just starts with him at like Rocky's funeral, or maybe passes away. Which would be kind of unfortunate. But no, this is the way it was set up. Like, or I'm thinking like maybe, and then he's like, and then Anthony B. Jordan's at the tail end of his career or something like that. Michael B. Jordan. Jesus, I don't know why I call him Anthony. But Michael B. Jordan, which is Adonis Creed, is maybe at the tail end of his career. Maybe this is like 5 years down the line from today, actual now.
Okay. I was gonna say, yeah, he probably needs to get a little bit older.
Yeah,
to sell that. Yeah.
Yeah, but regardless, I'm saying like he gets a little bit older, and he kind of like, should I stay in the game or not? Like maybe he's been like winning like this last couple of fights by like a needle, or by a needle thread, whatever you call it, and he's like, wow, should I really throw this in? And then maybe you introduce like another character too, and then eventually like he gets knocked down or something. I don't know. They have to do it where they did in Cars, where they kind of like McQueen becomes the coach or like the driver in there, or I guess whatever you call it.
Okay.
In a way, so it kind of like you can keep on moving on, I guess, if they wanted the ability to move on with Adonis.
I really don't know that I want anything like that.
But no, I'm saying like if like the actual movie studio, I think that would be the best way. If like the movie studio wanted to like continue to make money off of this, I think that would be the best way to do it. But maybe just have like another one where he just meets another guy that just maybe has gone through more crap than him, in a way, like through like an inner city guy in a way. I don't know. They would have to figure it out. I think they could. I'm not saying I want any more of it, but I'm saying it from, if it actually is going to come out, I hope the story has some substance to it. You guys know what I'm saying?
I don't think you can off-screen kill Rocky.
They could though. I think that would be.
He deserves better than that.
He deserves. I mean, yes and no. Because do you want to see him on screen dying?
Depends on how they do it.
What's I'm saying though, like if they do it wrong, like you have the chance of them doing it wrong, and it's like wow, like.
Yeah. I guess, but as far as Creed 2 is concerned, I really enjoyed this movie. I don't think it's quite as good of a movie as the first one.
Yeah, the first one was definitely better. That's why I told you. I told you that.
But I definitely still like really enjoyed watching this movie. I think that they did a really good job again with like the relationship between Adonis and Rocky. Really the character development with basically everyone. I really liked how they tied in his adopted mother, well, like Apollo's wife. I'm blanking on her name right now. Marianne Creed, which is Apollo's wife, but not Adonis's birth mother. But like she's been the one that raised him. She adopts him like pretty early on in the first first Creed.
Yeah, because you see him fighting in like a school.
Right. Yeah. So shout out to Felicia Rashad. She's the one who plays Adonis's mother. I think she did a really great job. I think there were a lot of really powerful moments, especially when they had that conversation about him taking the fight, and how just like for both her and for Rocky at various points in this movie, how much still like Apollo's death weighs on them. Especially, and like that same conversation when he told Rocky about that he needed to take the fight, and he said that like, you know, Apollo died right here in his hands, and like the other things that he admits to thinking about, like how like it was supposed to be him that took the fight against Ivan Drago the first time, and like he like backed out and Apollo took his spot, and then Apollo died, and like the guilt that he feels over that. And so I just think there were a lot of really powerful moments, and they used that, I mean, basically nostalgia-driven storyline really effectively. This was a very formulaic movie.
Yeah, I think...
And, like, you can definitely see where this movie's going to go, but I think they still did a really good job. Like, it still connects with you emotionally.
Yeah, because I think movies that have done this kind of thing where they use some kind of storyline from, like, back from that time and to adapt it to this, they've been done very well, actually. I've been very surprised.
For me, this is, like, the Force Awakens of the Rocky franchise. It's basically the same story as like kind of Rocky 3 and Rocky 4 thrown together.
Yeah.
But like with a new generation of people. So like in that sense it's very similar to say like episode 4 and episode 7 in the Star Wars franchise, that sort of thing. But they did a really good job. I think that I don't remember the guy's name who plays Victor Drago. See if I can find his name real quick. Florian Mutano.
Okay.
I probably butchered that last name. He does a pretty good job. He doesn't obviously have like really a lot of acting sequences. It's just like the training montages and stuff like that.
I think this character is very quiet and very reserved, but also like respects his father, and kind of that's why he was raised. That's not to talk very much.
Yeah, and I really liked what they did with Ivan Drago in this movie and how he progresses. I did not. Well, I won't say like I won't spoil that part, I guess. But like there were moments that I definitely didn't expect in their storyline, because he does come off the whole time, like when he meets with Rocky. You see this in the trailer, like when he meets with Rocky in his restaurant. And he's talking about how like he lost everything after he lost that fight, and like my boy's gonna break your boy, and like all these things, and like he has his son Victor walk in after whatever. Like how I didn't expect how Ivan Drago's character ended up to be like the end of that arc. Where it was like at how like that fight ends, and like how their relationship changes over the course of, not changes necessarily, but like how Ivan changes, how he comes to a point where like he recognizes what's happening, and like how he changes his relationship with his son to like kind of keep that alive with despite like everything else that's happening in their lives.
Okay.
So like I did really enjoy that.
Okay, so what was your favorite scene of the movie? Real quick.
Probably the scene where like Rocky and Adonis have their falling out, like that discussion outside of his apartment. That was probably that one, and then like I said, like both times when Apollo tells both Rocky and then Marianne that like he's gonna take the fight.
Okay.
Like that, I think those were my best scenes. Like both of those conversations were really powerful. Yeah.
Besides those ones, I definitely enjoyed the beginning of the movie. Was good. I totally forgot that she had like a hearing loss. Yeah. I didn't.
I called it when like he's talking to her and she's in the bathroom before he like proposes.
Oh yeah.
I leaned over to my dad. I was like, she can't hear him.
Like I totally forgot from the first movie that she had that, and I was like, why did she like? Oh, dude, I totally forgot about that. And like I just watched the movie, like I didn't pay attention, I guess, to that part. But that was like something. And then, what was the worst scene that you saw that you thought?
I'm not really sure. I don't really have any. There aren't any scenes that stick out to me as like I really didn't like them. I thought that like the fight choreography was pretty good throughout the whole movie. Obviously, the training sequences are always pretty good in Rocky movies. Yeah, I don't. There's not. This movie doesn't have a low point for me. I don't think.
Mine was when he walks out for the last time, for the last fight when he walks out when she starts singing that song.
Oh really?
That was me cringing. I was like, what the?
I guess.
That was just like, why? Like, I get you're all together, but I'm like, just have like a song and come out. Like, I felt like that wasn't. I feel like if that was real life, if someone came out with his wife singing, that would be kind of just weird. Just for me, like I thought of like as like I was watching like a real fight, and I was just like,
okay,
this seems kind of. I mean, like the song. I guess
now that I think about it, I didn't really care for that.
That was like
much.
my cringe. I was like, I don't like this.
Yeah, but it's a pretty solid movie overall.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying though. That was like mine. I was just like, I just want to point that out. I was like, what the fuck?
In general, I really enjoyed the soundtrack for this, because like I'm like the Rocky soundtrack is one of the few movie soundtracks that I actually own, and so like I really enjoy that music. And
shout out to Blues Brothers.
I really enjoyed how they played like throughout the movie. You can tell they're like kind of toying with the original Rocky theme.
And then you finally hear it at the very end.
And then when he knocks down Victor for the first time, they play it.
That's when I was like, oh, dude, I got
that's when I was in.
I was like,
all in.
I was like, I got a boner.
Yeah.
Guys, I got a boner.
That when they finally use, and they really only use it for like 20 seconds right there, like while he's like, when he gets knocked down and when he's on the mat.
So get your Russian ass on the ground,
yeah,
boy.
so like I really enjoyed the way they just developed, like the training sequences were really good, especially when they were out in the desert. I assume that was like Arizona or whatever. I guess could have been like Mexico. I don't know.
Oh, who knows?
But yeah, I think this was like a solid like 8 out of 10 for me. I really liked this movie.
Okay. Well, what is next after this?
Are we gonna do Undrafted or are we gonna do Pennsylvania Avenue?
Are we gonna do Undrafted after this?
Okay, let's do Undrafted.
Okay. So before we get into that, let us know in the comments down below of what you thought the movie and how you thought the movie was. If you enjoyed it or if you didn't enjoy it, let us also know if you think there's gonna be a sequel after this, and let's hear some solid reasons for that.
Yeah, where's that sequel gonna go? What is Creed 3?
Yeah, what is Creed 3? Give us a quick little synopsis of that. Shall we dance to the Undrafted segment?
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. What is our Undrafted segment, young man?
All right, so this weekend coming is going to be the Hall of Fame voting for Major League Baseball. The Writers Association obviously going to be casting their Hall of Fame ballots for the upcoming class. I will quickly read off. I did have it up here. Everyone who is up for election into the Hall of Fame. So there are 15 people. I guess maybe I won't read through all of these, but there are 15 people back from last year's ballot, including Edgar Martinez. This is Edgar Martinez's 10th year on the ballot, meaning it is his final year that he is eligible. So if he is not elected on this year's ballot, he will not be able to make the Hall of Fame. Fred McGriff is also on his 10th year. And then there are obviously like a few of the bigger steroid era people like Roger Clemens and Barry Bonds are on again. Notable newcomers to the ballot this year. So you have to have been retired for 5 years to be eligible. Or there is a special rule regarding death. So like I don't think Roy Halladay's been retired for 5 years. There's special rules like if you die.
I feel like he has, but let me double check. I'll double check.
So obviously Roy Halladay is eligible this year. Todd Helton, Andy Pettitte, Lance Berkman, Roy Oswald, Miguel Tejada, Placido Polanco, Kevin Youkilis, Derek Lowe, Freddie Garcia, Vernon Wells, Ted Lilly, Travis Hafner, Jason Bay, Michael Young, John Garland, Juan Pierre, Rick Ankiel, and of course the one that was at the top of this list, but saving the best for last, is Mariano Rivera, who somehow it has already been 5 years since he retired. I still remember that day. Like
no, technically it's been 5 years since Roy Halladay. It was 2013.
Oh, okay.
But I think maybe if it happened like 2 years ago, maybe they probably would have.
Yeah, there are special rules for in the case of the death of of like an active or like someone who hasn't been retired for 5 years.
So yeah, that's kind of like right on the mark in a way.
So both of us took a look at this list, and we both put together kind of like what our mock ballots would be for our Hall of Fame voting if we were actually voting. So we're gonna run through that real quick. Do you want to start off with your list?
Mine's like just players I enjoyed watching when I was a little kid.
Okay.
So very simple, I guess. You probably don't agree with this, but I really enjoyed Juan Pierre. So what's it called? I gotta sneeze real quick. Sorry about that.
Got him.
Oh my god. Juan Pierre, he was like always a guy in like MLB The Show back in like when I was playing PlayStation 2. I would always like, hey, I have to get Juan Pierre. I need my boy at leadoff and center field. Actually no, wait. Did I have? No, maybe I didn't have him. Maybe it was a shout out to Juan Pierre, but regardless, shout out to Mike Young. Shout out to Derek Lowe, and then shout out to Roy Oswalt.
So those were people that are like close but didn't quite make it.
No, because I think I had 10 already after them.
Dang. So you had almost 14 people you were gonna vote for.
I said shout out though. They're gonna get it next year for me.
I mean, but like next year, there's gonna be a whole new class of people. That
I don't care. I'm still gonna vote for them because who I vote for are not gonna be on this list in my eyes.
Okay.
I'm not gonna vote for the same person I'm gonna vote for the person, and then if they don't get in and they show up next year.
So you have to people have to keep at least 5% to stay on the ballot. So if you fall below 5%, you're off the ballot.
Okay. What is it?
Just saying.
Well, regardless.
Okay.
Here we go. So the new guys that are on the list or that are gonna be Mariano Rivera, Roy Halladay, Todd Helton, and Andy Pettitte are the new ones that I chose.
Okay.
And then from the older ones, I picked Scott Rowland, Billy Wagner, Kurt Schilling. How many is that? One. I have to do
That
four.
was 5, I think.
4, 5, 6.
6. Okay.
Then I have 4 more, which was did I say Kurt Schilling?
You just did.
So it's 7.
Okay.
Or am I missing one?
You had Oswalt. You had Todd Helton. You had Roy Halladay. You had Mariano Rivera.
I didn't have Oswald.
Oh, you didn't have. Oh. Who did I skip then? That you had.
Maybe I picked Juan Pierre. Put Juan Pierre. Okay, Juan Pierre. Give me a sec.
1,000.
Oh yeah. No, we're good. Yeah,
Okay.
Juan Pierre's on now.
Okay. So
And the last 2 are Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens. I don't give a fuck.
the reality is that the
They're not gonna make it, obviously.
I don't know. They have 3 years to do so. Roger Clemens was at 57.3% and Barry Bonds at 56.4% last year. Actually, they have 4 years because the voting hasn't happened for. It's like they have 4 votes left. We'll see like whether or not their percentage goes up or down this year. I think that in the last couple of years they've kind of purged the baseball writer voting to get rid of a lot of people who are retired and like no longer kind of like in the game sort of thing. So the average age of the voting rolls has actually kind of plummeted in the last couple of years. And the younger generation of writers tends to be more favorable towards the steroid era players than like the old kind of like classic people. I myself personally am one of those people where it's like if that's even a thing, like get out. Like I don't care. Barry Bonds should be like stricken from the home run record and just like to get out. I don't care. I don't want to see them in the Hall of Fame. Just no. Now, don't get me wrong. I think that Barry Bonds is one of the greatest hitters in baseball history. Like him taking steroids doesn't really improve his like hand-eye coordination. Yeah, he hit the ball farther maybe, and he was healthier to stay on the field more often than he maybe would have been. But like the dude's an incredible hitter still. Like you still have to put the bat on the ball to play the way that he did. And so like credit to him for that. But you take steroids, you cheat like that, get out. I ain't having that.
Okay, what's your list?
Okay, so actually like by some I don't know what happened there, but I did skip Todd Helton. So I have 9 people on my list. So Todd Helton.
Dude, you don't Todd Helton. What's wrong?
My thing with Todd Helton though, and it's like the problem that Larry Walker's having, he only having 34%, is that they played in Colorado. So like you have to like really study what what people don't study is their road performance offensively, because like both of them still hit really well, but like playing in Colorado is a benefit to them. I'm just saying, and like playing a whole career in Colorado.
Oh, Todd Helton did. Larry Walker didn't play his whole career in
He
Colorado.
played like the prime of it.
Well, anyways, I'm still going with Todd Helton.
Okay, all right.
I don't care.
So I have Todd Helton. I'm going with Todd Helton.
Okay. He's also back up for Peyton Manning at Tennessee.
Okay.
He's back.
Congratulations.
I'm just saying.
I have Roy Oswalt in there. He's a pitcher that this kind of like just a personal one for me. I think what's lacking for Oswalt is that he only has 163 wins. His ERA is good enough to get in 3.36, but only 163 wins might be like a little lacking because like Pettit, for example, is at 256.
Did he ever win a Cy Young?
I think he has one.
Okay.
One NL Cy Young. And Roy Halladay has one. And one perfect game as well that he threw like with the Phillies, whatever. In any case, so I have Helton and Oswalt. I have Roy Halladay, and I have Mariano Rivera. Those are my only four from like the new
batch
class of people. Right. From the existing class of people, I have Fred McGriff as basically just like a courtesy vote for it being his last year. Like his 10th year on the roster. I think that he actually compares favorably to like the average Hall of Fame outfielder, but like for whatever reason, maybe it's like the small market in Tampa or that sort of thing. Like he's just not looked upon in the same light as like some other people that have gotten in the past. So in any case, I do have Fred McGriff on there. I have Billy Wagner, who for some reason is kind of struggling down here at 11.1%. So he's actually kind of the ones that might be in danger of falling off the ballot. But he has a career whip below 1 and a 2.31 ERA out of the bullpen. He's one of the best left-handed relievers of all time, in my opinion. So I have Billy Wagner in. I have Kurt Schilling in, and I have Mike Mussina in. Both of their Mussina is actually higher up on the list as far as like percentage vote that he attained last year. But in my opinion, Schilling is the better pitcher. I think Schilling's being hurt by kind of like the off the field like stuff that has happened since, like his firing from ESPN for the comments that he made then and such. Like I think like a lot of people don't agree with him like socially or politically, so I think that that's actually hurting him for his chances. But like purely numbers wise, he deserves it. And then I have Edgar Martinez as my final. Like I have 9 people on my ballot. So Edgar Martinez. What hurts him is that he's only a DH, but I think sitting above 70% and this being his last year, he's definitely going to make it this year.
Well, we shall see.
Yeah. Yeah, and then like I said, no Clemens, no Bonds, no Andy Pettit, because he's someone that got caught up in that stuff too. And just like none of that steroid stuff. Get out of here.
And then Sammy Sosa was
no Berkman. Berkman got caught up in like the whatever report, the Mitchell report. Obviously, no. Sammy Sosa's not going to make it. Sammy Sosa might even fall off the ballot this year. He was only at 7.8%.
Those.
So, and Miguel Tejada was someone who was also suspended for steroid use. I think that like someone like Scott, like you had Scott Rowland. I guess if I might maybe then use my 10th vote for Scott Rowland, because I think he's another one where he is probably one of the best third basemen of all time, but like it never like came off that way. He was kind of quietly one of the best third basemen of all time.
Yeah, he was like the third or fourth best player on the team in like a really stacked team.
Right. Yeah. So, but his pure numbers are really good, and he's above 70 WAR for his career, which should help him. But this is his second year now. Last year he was only 10.2%, so he's almost not even on the ballot at all. And Michael Young to me is someone that's kind of in the same boat, where like he was an excellent second baseman, but like played second base for the Rangers in like Alex Rodriguez's prime and like Rafael Palmeiro's prime and Pudge Rodriguez's prime and stuff like that. So
yeah, the guy that
hurts him. He was another guy. He was like an excellent player, but always like never the best player on his team.
Mm-hmm. Just because like the players around him.
Yeah. So that is my ballot.
All right.
We will see this weekend who makes it and who doesn't. There's also like a few managers that might get into it. I think like Charlie Manuel might be up this year. I don't remember. There's like a few other managers that
Is
are
Tori already in or no? Or
Yes,
is
I think so.
Okay. Last year was probably the year you went in, right? Or the year before?
I think it was the year before.
Okay.
In any case,
5 more years till Sosha.
I don't know. He's on. For me personally, he's on the fence. Like if he gets in, I could see him getting in. I could see him not getting in. So we'll see.
All right. What's next actually?
We're gonna move on to Pennsylvania Avenue.
But before we move on to Pennsylvania Avenue, ladies and gentlemen, give us your 10 on the list. Look it up. Give us your 10. Tell us your 10. Put it in the comments down below. And then pat yourself on the back after you do that. Because I thought we were doing it a different way.
All you had to do was read the text message.
I did, but I thought it was like, oh, like I read it, I glanced at it, I was like, okay, I thought I had to give each player 1 out of 10. And I was like, what?
No, you had to
pick 10.
Pick 0 to 10 of these players.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
Don't do the 0. Just say pick 10 players, and I would have been like, okay.
All right. I'm sorry.
Because a 0 out of 10, I thought was like, oh, I'm rating them out of 10.
No.
But okay. Let's move on to some history, and then we are done for today.
Yes, we are.
Because we're doing Across the Pond on 2 days from now.
Yes, we are. All right. Let me pull up this week in history. It's going to be running from Thursday, December 6th through Wednesday, December, quick maths, 13th. Is that right?
Can you
12th,
text me
apparently.
that, by the way?
What?
Last week's and this week's.
Okay.
Like the dates we went through.
Okay. So starting us off, December 6th, 1865, the 13th Amendment is ratified in the United States, which brings an end to slavery. This was Abe Lincoln's, this is his legacy in the United States, I think, is the abolition of slavery. It was not ratified until after his assassination, so he didn't get to live to see what that like post-Civil War America looked like. But definitely probably I would say the most important of the like non-Bill of Rights amendments.
Oh yeah, outside the first 10.
Yeah.
like,
Even outside, I mean, probably bigger than even like a good portion of the 10.
Like the first 2 are pretty important, and then yeah, I would think it would be like
I would probably put like 113 2.
Yeah, it'd be top 3 for sure.
Yeah.
Like in general. I think they're all equal in a way.
Okay, I mean that's a fair argument.
Like I wouldn't rank them. I just say like those are the first 3. Boom, right there. Put it on there.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have much to say about that. It just watch Lincoln. It goes through the process of them trying to get this thing done.
Right. Yeah. And how he they touch on it in that movie. Obviously, how they kind of use the end of the war as like a way to get the bill passed.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. Or as a way to they use it as a way to end the war. December 6th, 1877. Some random guy named Thomas Edison. I don't know who this dude is. He creates the very first audio recording. He recorded himself reciting "Mary Had a Little Lamb" into his phonograph, and he was the inventor of, I guess, the audio recording itself, or that particular method of audio recording.
Yeah, 'cause no, they have audio recordings of other people before this, I believe.
I think it was that particular method that he patented.
Yeah, I think there's a recording of Lincoln actually, maybe.
Oh really?
I have to double check that. There's recordings of definitely people from the 1800s. I'm not too sure. I have to double check. I might be wrong. I probably am wrong.
I wrote this down as creates the first audio recording.
Okay. But yeah, I think I've heard this actual one in school once before, and it sounded super weird.
Okay.
Obviously, the quality sucked.
Right. Yeah.
That's right.
It was very primitive. December 7th, 1787, Delaware becomes the very first state to, I guess they weren't even a state at the time, where they should say colony, I guess. Delaware becomes the first state, colony, whatever, to ratify the Constitution. Because they didn't become states until the Constitution.
Yep. So
they were still a colony or whatever, or even an independent sort of nation.
Yeah, they were. That's what a lot of them. like I said before, I've already said this before. Whenever like, you hear like Jefferson have a speech or anyone else have a speech before the them becoming like or ratifying the Constitution or the actually the Articles of Confederation, they all thought themselves as countries, not as together in a way.
Yeah. Also on December 7th, a very significant day here in the United States. December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. I could recite like a whole very large portion of that FDR speech to Congress, but 1941, Japanese raids Pearl Harbor and Hawaii, sinking the vast majority of the U.S. Pacific Fleet, and it also is what brought the U.S. into World War II.
Yeah, 3 ships were out of basically 2 of them were just completely done. And then one of them was actually, it got repaired, but it basically was considered synced, and the other ones were just basically damaged.
Right.
But they were eventually repaired.
It was like I believe it was inside of like a year or like 15 months or so that all the ships that were salvageable from Pearl Harbor were back in action.
Mm-hmm. Another, I think recently the last last military survivor from Pearl Harbor actually passed away.
Yeah, and they used to always have a remembrance event or like ceremony where they would bring back all the living, at least those that could travel, the living survivors of Pearl Harbor. And 2 years ago, I think it's been now, was the last time that they were going to do that. Just 'cause I think at that time there was only like 5 people left or something. So they've stopped doing that.
And then the memorial service we usually have here, like, because I'm right by Fairview Cemetery, like down the street, and definitely I think 10 years ago there was at least one guy there. I think he was actually from Santa Ana or lives in Santa Ana or something like that.
Okay.
That was there, and he was always there. There was always he was always the guy that got his like only like his when they were like, hey, like they would say like all the veterans for different wars to stand up, and then there was like the one guy who's like he was World War II, and then also can you stand up if you were a Pearl Harbor survivor, and like he was the only one that was standing up, and everyone actually got up and like clapped for him. It's like it was very
cool.
Very touching. I kind of like tear up just a little bit. You can see my eye just a little bit. It was a little like dude, crazy.
Yeah. So significant day in U.S. history and world history. Just like bringing the United States into World War II definitely turned the tides in the favor of the Allies. Probably I don't know, maybe one of the biggest, at least the way Japan went about this, perhaps one of the biggest strategical mistakes that there's been in like a long time before this.
To capitalize after, obviously, I would think.
Yeah. Just like I think because they obviously sunk a majority of the fleet, and then after the Battle of Midway, which was like I think 8 or 9 months later, the Japanese never won another battle after that. So definitely did not bode well for them.
But yeah, obviously, like their way of defending islands that was pretty crazy, very unique, I would say too.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely if they would have, probably should have waited a little bit longer for this to happen.
I think if they would have waited, like they could have, if they wanted to, they probably could have like taken Australia and taken New Zealand and taken all the, like if they'd have just left the U.S. out of it. And obviously they were allied with the Germans and the Italians, and it didn't help the Germans or Italians that the U.S. got involved either.
Yeah. They were the first ones out.
Yeah. December 8th, 1765, a man named Eli Whitney is born. He was very similar to Thomas Edison in that he invented like a whole bunch of different things. But what I have him in for is the inventor of the cotton gin. I always think of the cotton gin as kind of what started the Industrial Revolution.
Didn't we already have this?
I think we had something about the cotton gin itself, but not Eli Whitney being born.
Oh, being born. Okay, we had the cotton gin being invented. This is his birthday.
I think maybe a few weeks ago we had like the patent was issued.
No, this was like a while back. This is like a couple months ago. Actually.
Okay, I think we had like the patent for the cotton gin, but this is like Eli Whitney was born on this day.
Okay.
Gotcha. So like I said, inventor of many things that were very useful at the time, but the cotton gin probably being the one that he's most famous for.
Saved a lot of fingers from being cut, for sure.
Mm-hmm. December 8th, 1980, jumping more than 200 years forward. This will be the 38th anniversary of the death of John Lennon. He was shot and killed outside of his... Yeah,
No.
1980, right? That math checks out.
No, I thought it was 81.
I have it as 1980. Maybe I messed up.
I'll double check.
Okay.
I thought it was 81.
John Lennon shot and killed outside of his apartment in Manhattan. I don't remember the dude's name. I know that they always hold like a ceremony in Central Park every year when the anniversary comes by for this.
1980.
It was 1980? Okay.
Mm.
So yeah, so probably he's one of the more influential members of that generation, I would say. And it was quite the shock, I think, for that time when he was killed.
Yeah, there's a movie about the guy that assassinated him. What's it called? Jared Leto plays him.
Oh, okay.
I watched it. It's Catcher in the Rye, but it's how many chapters? Do you remember how many chapters in Catcher in the Rye at all? Well, basically it's like 20 something chapters, and then it was like they called the movie Chapter 24 because he had some kind of a relation to like Catcher in the Rye, and they call it Chapter 24 or something like that, or 23, and they go through like the process and actually making the actual call to his sister about telling him like he's gonna kill John Lennon, but she was on he leaves like a voicemail, and then he does it, and then she doesn't listen to the voicemail until after it happened.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, not my history teacher. We haven't got to it yet, but he's apparently gonna go through like we have a lecture that's gonna come up about John Lennon and his like links to like I don't know. Apparently, like the CIA might have some kind of thing to do with this or something like that. I don't know. Or no, it was MI6. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
But we'll see. I don't know. I want to hear his side of this, what he got to say. But we'll come back maybe. To this.
December 8th, 2010, relatively very recent compared to most of the things we cover here. SpaceX, run by Elon Musk, obviously, becomes the first private company to launch, orbit, and recover a spacecraft. So I think SpaceX is kind of seen as the future of space in general, and like the work that they're doing for like lunar missions and Mars missions in the future, and private like personal travel.
Is it 2020 they're supposed to go to the moon?
I think so, yeah.
Okay,
and
so
they're like already selling tickets, I think, or whatever.
So you're gonna live on the moon?
No. It's like a ticket in the whatever craft to go to the moon.
And then back?
Yeah, I think so. Or go to space or something.
I thought it was going to space.
I don't know.
I don't know about the moon.
I don't remember.
Yeah. What's it called? Very expensive to do.
Obviously.
Do you know about this technology it's like a laser that you shoot at some kind of object and it launches stuff?
Nope.
Okay. Well, I don't. Apparently, like this is like I think I saw a video like it's been a while. It's like Tom DeLonge's company that's developing some kind of stuff like this, where it's like it's instead of using jet fuel, you use this. You heat it with this like laser, and it shoots enough energy up, and it shoots it in these like cubes or something like that. It's for like cargo or something. I'll show you. I think.
Okay.
But yeah, because that's what he was like. Yeah, we're gonna try to sell this to Elon Musk or something like that. I was like, okay, we'll see what happens about that, bud.
December 9th. I actually skipped because I didn't think there was anything terribly interesting. So if you want to look for something on December 9th, go for it.
Okay.
December 10th, 1817, Mississippi is admitted as the 20th state of the United States. Again, like this time of year, for whatever reason, seems to be kind of popular for those things. December 10th, 1851, a man named Melville Dewey is born. And this will be a deep cut, I guess, for everyone our age or older that's listening. But I guess a lot of the young people won't even be familiar at all with this, which is kind of strange and sad. But Melville Dewey was the creator of the Dewey Decimal System, which was what was used to organize like basically all libraries in the world for like decades until the rise of computers. So he invented this whole system of organizing books by like genre, author, like date published. I forget like what the individual numbers were, but it was like this whole big system, and like it kind of caught fire everywhere.
Caught fire.
And there used to be, when you went into a library, there were like these basically note card kind of size things that were in this huge file thing, and you had to like pull it out looking so you could find your book on the shelf, so you knew where to go to get it. You had to like look in these little drawers that had all these notebooks in it. It was crazy. Different, like that feels like a whole different world.
Yeah, it does.
Where it's like now you just walk in and you're like you go to Barnes and Noble and you're like, hey, you said you brought up Catcher in the Rye earlier. It's like, hey, I'm looking for Catcher in the Rye, and they're just like, oh, type in Catcher in the Rye, and like, oh, this shelf right here.
Yeah. Well, I think librarians back in the day knew, like, for me when I worked in retail, I knew where everything was because
No, I know.
But like, well, I'm pretty sure like librarians, like after they got the system down, they were able like to tell you exactly where a book was, like off the top of their head, just because like they were just in it.
Yeah. December 10th, 1962. This definitely should say 1862. I realize that is a typo. So December 10th, 1862, the House of Representatives passes a bill creating the state of West Virginia. This was obviously during the Civil War. The state of Virginia was seceding from the Union, but there was not a huge chunk, but like probably like about a third of Virginia's counties that refused to secede, so they like seceded from the state kind of, and then the Union, or like the United States Congress, granted them their own statehood because they wanted to stay in the Union. So that was like the creation of West Virginia.
Yeah, and that was the only state created during the Civil War.
Right. Yeah.
Did you say that already?
I did not say that
Okay.
was the only state during the Civil War.
Yeah, yeah.
But kind of a unique circumstance. It's probably like one of the more unique. I would say like that and Texas are like the two most unique creations of a state, where it's like they seceded from a state to become a state, and then Texas was its own country and then became a state. It's like they're both of those are like really unique, but the others is just like the traditional process kind of.
I agree.
I lost my spot.
You're still on December 10th?
I'm going to be on December 11th. Did
Okay.
you find anything for
December 11th or 9th, real quick? Buckingham Palace announced the separation of Prince Charles and Princess of Wales Diana. So that's when they got
divorced.
That was 1992. 1993, a 5-day repair job in space on $3 billion Hubble telescope or space telescope was finished by the U.S. astronauts, and what's it called? What was it? Clarence Birdseye developed a method of deep freezing foods and was one of the founders of General Foods Corp. Was born on this day in 1886.
Okay, cool.
Kind of an important one.
December 9th.
Kind of important. Freezing food.
Yeah. December 11th, 1816. Indiana is admitted as the 19th state. So once again, more states this time of year getting thrown into the Union. December 11th, 1936. King Edward VIII abdicates the throne to marry American Wallace Warfield Simpson. Kind of a strange, again, like doesn't seem really all that long ago, but like this woman that he fell in love with, he was King of England, but the Church of England would not permit him to marry her because she had been previously married and divorced. And so he just like straight up left the throne
to do this,
to like marry this girl. Yeah. And then that's actually what put Queen Elizabeth like in line for the throne, because her father, George VI, who was the brother of Edward, took the throne when he abdicated. So you can, I guess in sort of pop culture, you can see like maybe the King's Speech. George VI plays a big role in The Darkest Hour, and a big role in like the first season of The Crown, I would say, where it's I almost said Kenneth Branagh. It's not Kenneth Branagh. I'm blanking on the name of the guy that plays George VI.
Yeah, you get those hints for those movies to kind of get back. I don't think I would say watch if you are really interested in actually knowing this stuff. Watch movies as like a platform in a way to jump off of, and then actually read about it after. So because that's like another bad thing. Like people are like, oh, I watched this movie. I learned this from this movie. I'm like, you learned it from like a movie being adapted, or like it's being adapted to be entertaining.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure that there are plenty of really good documentaries about kind of this period in like the English crown, because obviously, Edward the Eighth went into exile after this. He lived in France, I believe, for a while. Like he left England altogether. He was kind of like kicked out of his family, basically. And then George the Sixth ended up being king during World War II. And he was kind of thrust into the spotlight despite being like he had a speech impediment and like was very like shy in general or whatever, but like was kind of just pushed forward to be to become king of England. It's such like a crucial time in their history.
I saw a picture with Elizabeth II with each president since Eisenhower, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, she's been there for a while.
Yeah.
They just like 5 or 6 years ago had like the Diamond Jubilee or whatever, where she's been queen for 50 years.
Mm-hmm. So there's only
or 60 years maybe.
4 presidents that are alive right now that have 5. No,
there are
Trump.
only 5 presidents that are alive.
Yeah, 5 presidents. Yeah.
Clinton, Bush,
Ford,
Trump, Obama, Ford.
Yeah.
No, not Ford.
No, Carter.
Jimmy
My bad.
Carter.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh my
God. Lost my spot here. December 11th, 1941. So just we were talking earlier about Pearl Harbor and how that got the U.S. involved into World War II. December 11th, 1941, the United States formally declares war on Italy and Germany after like having already declared war on Japan.
Oh, December 9th as well. China declared war on Japan, Italy, and Germany.
Okay.
But I think they already got invaded though.
Oh yeah, like in the like mid to late 30s.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like, what? Okay, you barely declared war, dog. Yeah. What's going on here?
December 11th, 1967, the Concorde is unveiled in Toulouse, France. The Concorde being the first and only, I believe, supersonic passenger jet liner to exist. It ran for, I believe, about 25 years before finally being like discontinued, and like Concorde went out of business as a company. It just wasn't like their business model just didn't work. I'm surprised that something like this doesn't exist now. They use supersonic air travel.
It's probably too expensive.
Maybe I don't know.
You know how technology is where they try to make it to where it's cheaper to do or cheaper to make, so you're able to make it more available. But maybe that technology is so just crazy to where you have to have like really good materials to build something like that every time.
I guess.
Because like when you look at a TV now, it's like
I can't imagine that there wouldn't be people that would pay for it. Like if you could be in if you could fly New York to London in like 2 hours or 3 hours.
Wasn't it like a 3-hour flight anyways?
No,
it's like 5.
No. It's like 7.
7?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was less than that.
It was on. I flew from London to LA and it was almost 12.
Crazy.
So
I would have at least flew into New York, stayed there a day, and then gone.
It was a straight shot.
When
I came back from Europe, it was a straight shot. So yeah, it's like at least
brutal.
at least a 6-hour flight to London.
Dude, imagine going to Australia.
Yeah.
That happened. I'll watch.
Honestly, it's probably not that much longer of a flight than flying straight to London from here. From New York, yeah, it'd be really long, but.
Are we going the other way?
Yeah, across the Pacific.
Oh, okay. So
you don't go all the way around. Why would you go all the way around?
I don't know, dude. That's what I thought.
Are you a flat earther?
Yeah. No, I thought you went that way just because of like the way. I don't know.
No, you go west.
I don't say, dude. I was just.
They're gonna fly all the way around the Earth just to go to Australia.
Nah, that's what I thought.
Okay.
Maybe because I think of like when people take off from like the East Coast, probably.
Probably.
I would go the other ways if I wouldn't go across Europe and stuff. I would just go to LA and then there.
Well, if you're on the East Coast, though, you're probably literally on the other side of the world, so it doesn't matter which way you go.
Well, I'd rather go to LA and then there.
Okay. One more day. December 12th, 1745.
1745.
A man named John Jay is born.
John Jay.
And John Jay was not only, I guess, he was one of the authors of some of the Federalist Papers.
Yes, he was.
If I remember correctly. Just a few of them, though.
Him,
Hamilton and
Madison.
and
James Madison.
Yeah.
James Madison mostly.
But he was also the very first Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court.
I believe so, yes.
I'm telling you that is so. I do believe so.
Yeah, I believe so. That's what I said.
December 12th, 1770. I was surprised that they kind of left out like a key note to this event, but December 12th, 1770, the British soldiers involved in the Boston Massacre are acquitted of murder.
Yeah,
from their trial.
represented by John Adams.
Right, that's what was missing from this, and I'm surprised that it was. John Adams took up the like position of their like lawyer because no one would represent them in court, and he believed that like if this was going to be a sort of a founding principle of a new nation, like he needed to stand up for them now, and like give them a fair opportunity, basically. Because obviously, if he had not chosen to represent them, then like it kind of would have just turned into like a mob rule sort of thing, where like they probably all would have been killed.
Just because of like emotions and everything.
Right. Yeah. A little bit of like mob rule. So kind of an important. I know the John Adams miniseries on HBO covers this trial in the second episode. So if you want to get a little, Hollywood version of this, dramatization. That was the word I was looking for. Of this event, you can check that out.
Yep.
And our very last point, December 12th, 1915. Some dude named Frank Sinatra was born.
Ooh.
Probably
Chairman of the board.
Yeah, probably one of, maybe even, I can't say the biggest because there's like Elvis and Michael Jackson and stuff like that. But like, this dude was pretty big for his time.
Yeah, for his era. I think he was like his era. And then after him, I think it was Elvis. And then after Elvis, it was probably because there's like a weird, not gap, but you might throw like Bowie or John Lennon in there.
Yeah.
Or maybe even, I don't know. I don't want to put Elton John up there.
But yeah, Frank Sinatra obviously lived life to the fullest.
Yeah.
I guess that's the easiest way to put it. Buried with a bottle of Jack. My mom actually got to go see him in concert, and she always told me she was super disappointed because he was like completely wasted on stage.
I would not be surprised.
And he couldn't remember the words to his songs, and he was like slurring the words and stuff like that. So
yeah. Where my dad used to work at Cedar Sinai, that's where he passed away.
Oh, dang.
My dad was actually in the he just started like not too long after he actually was in the hospital, which is kind of crazy.
Personally, I'm more of a Dean Martin. Like, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Like, I love Frank Sinatra, but like to me, Dean Martin is the crown jewel of like that Rat Pack group.
But yeah, I guess it depends on your flavor, dude. Honestly, that's what it really is.
Totally.
I have a ton of Sinatra records.
So do I.
But yeah, a dude that kind of lasted a while, like his career, like it's kind of crazy. Yeah. One thing I watched recently though, it was on YouTube, was they were kind of like Jeff Ross kind of brought like the roast kind of back, but they used to do like roast back in I think the
it was a Dean Martin show.
Yeah, it was late 70s, early 80s, I think, and they had Reagan before he was president. Before and after. Yeah. They had what's his name? I can't remember his name.
It was Reagan, Don Rickles.
Don Rickles, yeah.
Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., like all the Rat Pack guys. Like literally anyone who was like big at the time was like part of this.
And they would just sit down and they would just destroy each other, and it was hilarious.
Maybe a young Joan Rivers, or is that too early?
No. I think she was on that. Yeah. I think she was on there.
I'm sure that like eventually maybe like Richard Pryor might have been on there.
Yeah, I think he might have been on like the later ones, I believe, because Richard Pryor's been doing comedy since like the late 60s, I believe.
Yeah. So I honestly wish that like the Dean Martin show, like Don Rickles stuff, like those roasts that you're talking, the celebrity roast and stuff that you're talking about. I wish that some of that stuff was like more accessible.
Oh, it's on YouTube.
All of them are like, or just like clips.
There's like from what I saw, Don Rickles, like they do like when they actually go up and talk. There's no like in between stuff. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So like you can actually go up and like Google.
Okay.
Just put Don.
Because I would watch that sort of stuff like all the time.
And I literally spent like 3 hours just watching like Don Rickles just roast all these guys.
That whole group of people, like they were such good friends that like nothing was off limits.
Yeah.
And that's what made those roasts so good. It's just like they would just completely go after each other.
Yeah. Another cool thing too was like just like watching Reagan and it was just like weird to like see him get and then he actually went up and like talked too. Which is kinda cool.
Yeah. And Reagan himself, like for a president, if for a politician, he's pretty funny.
Yeah, but like it was funny
Gets his political puns in
because they're like kind of hinting about like him being president. I guess like he was the governor at the time.
Yeah.
And like it was just like, oh man, I wonder what he's gonna do if he runs this country or something. Like stuff like that was just like, oh my god, dude.
Yeah, those are a lot of fun.
But yeah, definitely, I would definitely go and like look at those. Those are interesting. And I'm kind of glad that like Jeff Ross kind of done it, but like it's like in the newer version in a way because it's just weird.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So that takes us to I think what will end up being our last topic. The other one that I have written down maybe should require a little bit more research.
What is it?
The other one that I had was the France riot stuff.
Oh, you want to talk? I could talk about a little bit about that.
Because like I don't like I know that there are a bunch of riots, but like I don't have like a full understanding of like what actually.
Did you listen to Ben's show yesterday?
I did.
He talks about it.
Yeah, he does. I mean, they talk about like the gas tax and there's like the ambulance strike. And
well, I think it's another thing like about all the other stuff that's happened over here. Just it's always like just a variety of people with a variety of different issues when you look at it. But before you do that, let us know in the comments below what you thought about history and if we missed anything as well. But yeah, getting back to it. We could talk about it for a little bit. How about that?
All right, go for it.
Was it did it start at the when the G summit started, or was it when Macron had like a speech or something like that?
He announced, I think it was before the G20. He announced that they were going to be like raising the gas tax again.
Yeah, because
that's
of
what
the
like really kicked it off.
The climate
the climate change act or whatever that he passed. Yeah.
So it's got a lot of people riled up. It's kind of like double-edged sword kind of way. I look at it that way. Because, like, yeah, oh, dude, it's good that you're doing this for the environment. Cool. But also, it's like you're also raising money on people that might not that they, it's just going to be harder on people. And just people are obviously getting emotional, getting frustrated about it. But it's also just like you're you're making it harder to live, I guess. And, like, what was crazy about it was just like, I've not seen, the only coverage I've seen, but I don't watch CNN as much as I used to, or like anything else, or Twitter. The biggest thing on Twitter right now was like Joe or Nick Jonas getting married. That was like the biggest thing on Twitter right now. But like it's not the riots or anything like that. But just like the craziness over there, like on where like the Louvre, like gift store got like broken into, and like they destroyed some like French Revolution.
First
monuments.
French Republic like statues and stuff like that. They were in I think they were in the Arc de Triomphe.
Yeah.
And like that got all looted, and they're like burning cars in the streets and like burning buildings like around the Arc, and which is it was crazy for me like seeing places like I know that the like French military now has been like deployed to like defend national monuments and stuff like that, because like people are like tagging them and graffiti and like they destroyed a bunch of like statues and artifacts and stuff like that. So like that's what you definitely never want to see. Like obviously I guess technically I'm not sure if they have the right to protest in France technically, because I know for example I know if you ask like Steven Crowder, he'll say that the United States is the only country that actually has like anywhere in the world like the equivalent of the First Amendment. Like no one else in the world actually has like the protection of free speech in like the like foundation of their government. Yeah,
because like the right to protest. I mean, you have the right to protest, but you have to plan it in a way.
I guess, yeah.
Like when they compare like the people protesting now, like the random ones that come up, they're not like the same as like what Martin Luther King did, because they actually organized it with the actual city and stuff.
Yeah.
And like that's what like the right to protest. Like yeah, you do. Yeah, just let us know, homie. Like you're gonna show up with a bunch of people.
Right. So it's kind of what's going on there now is kind of the equivalent if like people were to riot here and like tag Independence Hall or like I don't know a bunch of stuff on the East Coast. So it's I wish that it wasn't like a destructive sort of thing. Like obviously they have the right to voice their opinion, and like in some cases I agree with their opinion. But I don't want to see them like destroy like historical things over like because they're angry. Yeah, I guess that sort of thing. Like it's gone too far. It's getting a little out of control. Yeah, there's like many police officers and such that are like being hurt and like beaten. Yeah,
I think there was a case where someone actually took like their being one of the guns, but it was like non-lethal. Well, I mean, it probably could be lethal.
I think it was rubber bullets.
It was rubber bullets, but someone using that and shooting it back at them. But yeah, dude, it's crazy. Like I never thought that was like a thing that can happen, but it has happened because of something like this.
Yeah.
Um,
So obviously they're protesting Emmanuel Macron and like his kind of policies and the economic effects really of those policies. I think the gas prices in France are up around like $7.50 a gallon, $7.50 a gallon.
equivalent to like the American dollar.
Right. Yeah. And 60% of that cost is federal tax.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what Ben Shapiro said on his show yesterday. So like that's pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of, you know, like for example, the ambulance driver strike, where like whatever new like healthcare policy they implemented is basically going to put like a bunch of ambulance companies out of business. So they all went on strike. So they had this whole day where there was probably little or no ambulance service available. And that's definitely something that you don't want happening. So just there's a general sort of revolt against the socialist leaning, I would say, sort of like economic policies that Macron has implemented since he won his runoff election against, what was her name, Marie Le Pen.
Le Pen, yeah.
So like, and like both of them were kind of polar opposite candidates, just like in their approach to government and such. But Macron's approval rating is down in the 20s. No one is really happy with what he's been doing so far in France.
Mm-hmm.
And I know the unemployment rate across the board is at around 10% in France now. And if you're under the age of 30 or 35, it's like above 25%.
Wow.
And so like that, and then there was a thing I saw comparing like UK, US, and France, and like how terrible it is in France right now, like how what their economy is looking like, and the job market and stuff like that. Because you know, here in the US, we're down around 4. I think the UK is around 5, and then you have France at 10 in general and 25 if you're under the age of 35. Like that's pretty crazy.
Well, I'm pretty sure all around, I think that age bracket around the world is probably a little.
Oh yeah,
bit
yeah.
higher.
I'm sure the unemployment rate in the US,
but like not as high as that.
It's not it's not 1 in 4.
Yeah. Which is like like whoa, dude, that's a lot.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. But I mean, I think this is like another thing too, where imagine paying $7 for gas here. Just imagine that. Imagine paying $7 for gas. That's like right now that's 2 gallons almost. A little bit over 2 gallons, but it's just like wow, that's paying that every day, or I mean, obviously it depends on how much you're using it too. And then like you said, the ambulance. Imagine calling 911 and no one shows up. Like that's absurd. Like,
yeah, maybe they've had to use like police vehicles or police and fire vehicles instead to like try to go get people,
which is like crazy. And then I don't know. It's not like the fall of like civilization. Oh my God, this is it. This is how we get. No, it's just going on in France, and like it's how they're doing it. But yeah, you see like with the recent climate change report that came out from like the U.S. like the report that I forgot what report came out from like the U.S. index or whatever. It was like everything we're doing here is we've lowered emissions like the last 2 years. So it's actually gone down, which is like pretty insane. And then we're out of the Paris Accord, so it's like we're actually doing something over here. But like it's the other countries that have to step their game up in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Like climate change isn't going to change with us; it's going to change with everyone else. And we have already done like right now, the U.S. Everyone here has done a good enough job to where we actually lowered emissions. The only reason why then, like we can't reverse anything unless like everyone else reverses it themselves. So it's not saying like, oh, well, we can do whatever we want then kind of attitude. It's just saying like, well, we already are doing something. We can't do anything more than what we can do. But also, what was I going to say? Like the index talks about like the most drastic. It wasn't like something reasonable in a way. It was like the worst thing possible. And like the way we're going is like the trajectory is like not even close to that. Like we lose 10% GDP, but like in the year 2100, I think it was, that won't like look anything like that. Like the numbers are going to be way bigger than that, obviously. But it's just like crazy. Like this scientists need to have the duty to have to give us like the realistic output, I think.
Well,
or try to.
There was I remember watching a Prager University video not too long ago talking about like there was some, like it was I think 8 to 10 years ago now, where like NASA basically said that any like climate change study, like no conclusion that a climate change study comes to like can be thought of as like reliable.
Yeah.
And like even that wasn't even really that long ago. So, and like what you're saying about the U.S. is true too. I know Trump caught a bunch of flack during the G20 summit that just happened in Argentina, because we were the only nation there out of the 20 nations that didn't sign this like new climate change thing. But like we're the best. Like we've made the biggest steps forward in like emissions out of all those nations.
Yeah.
And like there's no clause or anything like that in this agreement that they signed that requires any action. It's just like, hey, we're going to work on cutting emissions, or like here we are actually doing it, and like all these other nations are saying that they're going to do it, but there's no schedule, there's no like actionable things in this agreement that like forces people to take steps
and
to actually curb emissions.
I don't even like saying anything like this, but this like that narrative is literally spun to make Trump. Like I said, I'm not trying to defend Trump or anything like that. I'm just saying like it's spun to make him look bad already, and it's just like it's annoying. It's like, dude, come on, just tell us how it is. Don't tell us how you want it to be. Like, come on, we're doing a good job here. We need to start. You need to if anything, the whatever outlets need to start accounting for the other countries.
Yeah.
And as we're not talking about propaganda. Like, okay, well, this is what we did this year. This is what China did this year. Obviously, we did a better job. There he is. That's a fact. Boom. Let's keep moving then.
Yeah. And so you're seeing in Europe now a sort of not rejection necessarily of those ideas, but a rejection of the economic effects of those ideas. Just like how it's changed, like like gas prices, for example, and stuff like that, where like how it is actually I almost said affecting people like in their day-to-day lives. And so you're seeing all across Europe, you're seeing like these riots now in France where it's actually turned like bordering on violent. And then you have a lot of the former Eastern Bloc nations that have had like kind of right-leaning swings in their recent elections.
Especially Poland.
Poland, yeah.
Poland's like very strong about it. I saw like a thing where like they're like we're
Poland
letting in
Romania.
0 Muslim immigrants in, like
Yeah.
refugees or whatever. There's not. I was like, wow.
Yeah. And then I also saw a thing about the Spanish elections, where for the first time since democracy was restored in Spain, which was I think 36 years ago.
Yeah, not too long ago. That's crazy.
For the first time ever, they actually have a right-wing coalition. So like the right-leaning political, I think there are 5 or 6 political parties that hold seats in like the Spanish government.
That's
and
Spain
like
for you.
yeah, and they actually have like a right majority now with like the most recent elections. So there's been actually a lot of changes in Europe, and Europe always seems to be kind of like, I would say, 5 to 10 years ahead of kind of what happens in the U.S. I would say in general. So I don't know. We'll see how that impacts politics here and policy here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just there's just too much stuff being let's focus on like the actual things and not make the smaller things bigger than what they are.
Yeah.
I think it's what like the left leaning news has been doing. Like, oh, this next one. I think actually what's developed through whatever that kind of connections they've come up with. I remember listening to Ben like 2 days ago about it. I was like, okay, there's something there now about like he might get caught like with the way like Clinton got caught. So I'm like, okay, well then let's wait until the actual investigation is done.
Yeah.
And like, but people are just like making all these assumptions and stuff.
Yeah.
Just like, well, dude, let's calm down, dog.
Crazy times in France right now, and a little maybe uncertain times in a lot of other places around Europe. It's been a little crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Be safe out there if you're listening in France. We do have people that sometimes listen from Europe on our across the pond though. But I'm not too sure about this show.
Yeah. So that's gonna take us into our last topic of the show.
We have another topic? Damn.
Yeah, we have one more.
What is it?
Over the weekend here in the United States, former President George H.W.
Oh.
Bush.
Oh my God, yeah, that's a topic right there.
Yeah, former President George H.W. Bush passed away at the age of 94.
I apologize.
So just like as, I guess, sort of a memory and honoring of his life, I put together like a little sort of timeline of his career here in the United States. like through like everything they did leading up to his presidency and such. So I guess I'll get into that.
Go ahead.
He was born in 1924, June 12th, in Milton, Massachusetts. He was the son of eventual U.S. Senator. He was not a senator at the time, but eventual U.S. Senator Prescott Bush. What are you talking?
No, I was saying I was mumbling your name, his name, because I knew.
Oh, okay. 1942. He enlisted in the Navy on his 18th birthday. This was approximately 6 months after Pearl Harbor. So he served in the Navy during World War II, volunteered for the Navy. He became the youngest ever commissioned Navy pilot. And there's actually this really cool, I think I sent it to you on Twitter.
Yeah, the video.
There's a video of him. He was shot down during a bombing run near the Japanese home islands. And he was recovered by a submarine.
Very fortunate.
Yeah, he was super lucky that he didn't die, just like out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean somewhere. I forget the name of the ship that picked him up, but he was on a floating raft in the middle of the Pacific, and like the submarine came up and got him.
Like,
which
what's
is
up,
pretty
man?
crazy. Yeah. So there's a video out there that you can check out of him being like dragged from the water, and then like they like kind of help him to the opening of the submarine, and they like climbed down.
That video resurfaced actually during his second run for office, I believe.
It was during his personal his run for president.
I think it was
the first one.
I thought it was the second one.
No,
Okay.
It was the first one.
Okay.
Because I remember it was on Ben Shapiro's thing, and he was saying
I
that
thought he
like
said it was the second.
Because the second one he lost. It was the first one where he said that like his opponent saw it on TV or whatever, and that's when he knew that they were going to lose the election, and Bush won by like a landslide.
Okay.
So obviously an American hero, volunteering for the Navy, serving during World War II. When he finished in the Navy, and at the time he had passed up a full ride to Yale.
He had a scholarship.
Yeah, he had a full ride scholarship to Yale and decided to enlist in the Navy. But he did go back and finish his degree after the war. In 1948, he graduated from Yale University. He went into the oil industry. He got a job in Texas in the oil industry, and he was a major part of he founded a company. I forgot to write down the name of it. Like a oil industry company that he was a part of. So he was a big part of the oil boom down in Texas, and obviously like gained a pretty substantial fortune, I would say, from like that line of work. 14 years later, in 1962, he becomes the chairman of the Harris County Republican Committee. So this is where he starts kind of dabbling around in politics. 10 years before this, in 1952, was when his dad was elected to Senate. So like it's obviously been something that kind of runs in the family. 1964, he himself makes a run for Senate, and he's defeated. But 2 years later, in 66, he's elected to the House of Representatives, representing a portion of Houston, Texas. And he becomes the first freshman congressman to be given a seat on the Ways and Means Committee in 63 years in the history of the House. In 1970, he leaves his seat in the House of Representatives to make a second run for Senate, but loses. But he kind of catches the eye of a lot of the prominent Republican party members, and in 1971, he was appointed U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations by then-President Richard Nixon. So he served the United States not as a soldier. He then served in the House of Representatives as a congressman, and then he served sort of the like foreign policy side of things, being the ambassador to the United Nations under Nixon. 3 years later, he was appointed to be the chief liaison in China by then-President Gerald Ford. And 2 years after that, he was appointed to be director of the CIA. So he kind of had his fingers over the course of his career in like basically every pie that was available. Yeah. Like private industry, he was a veteran, he was ambassador, he was like a liaison to China, he was director of the CIA. And then he makes a run for president in 1980. But loses in the primary to Reagan, who obviously went on to be elected president. But Reagan picks him as his vice presidential pick, and together they defeat Jimmy Carter and, I didn't write down his first name, Mondale, in the 1980 election by a landslide victory. And 8 years later, he's elected president himself. After serving 8 years as Reagan's vice president, he's elected to one term as president. During that one term, he invaded Panama, and captured dictator Manuel Noriega, and he prosecuted Noriega in the United States for drug trafficking. And then obviously he's probably most well known for being president during the first Gulf War. He went to Kuwait's defense after they were invaded by Iraq.
Unfortunately criticized about not going all the way into Iraq as well, or
and like
invading Iraq
dethroning Saddam Hussein.
itself. Yeah. Unfortunately.
But he did go in to protect Kuwait in probably one of the shortest wars. I guess like
the
the
100-hour war, I think that's what they call
Right, yeah. So there was 5 weeks 5 weeks of naval and air bombardments. And then the United States started a ground assault, and the ground assault took only 90 minutes before Iraq called for a ceasefire and like surrendered basically. He then lost the election in 1982 to Clinton, and that was sort of the end of his like significant political life. Obviously, the Bush family is one of the most powerful families in the history of the United States, I would say. Definitely up there with like the Kennedys, the Adams, the Roosevelts.
Definitely was like has a similar thing to Kennedy on how fast, because I think I looked up their family. I think his great grandfather came to the country in like 18 something.
Oh, okay.
So it was pretty recently. James Smith Bush, 1825.
Where did they immigrate from? Does it say?
I do not see.
Okay. In any case, obviously, you know, what I skipped over was sort of his personal life.
English and German descent.
Okay. I skipped over significant portions of his personal life. Just like obviously he was married for many, many years to his wife, Barbara Bush. They had 6 kids, the first of which was George W. Bush, who went on to be president. Who was not only 2 terms as Texas governor, but 2 terms as president. And then Jeb Bush was 2 terms as Florida's governor. And their other children all are prominent like businessmen and women in the state of Texas. So like I said, one of the more powerful families. He was the patriarch of that family, and he was the archetypal like model citizen, I would say, of the United States, being like a veteran, serving his country in a whole variety of ways, going on to serve as president in like the highest office, and
yeah, he served as CIA
and like
director,
raising children
well.
that like held those values and like went on to serve as well.
Yeah, he did a lot of things before he became president. I think the first president to be, well, obviously CIA is not that old, but I think it was like the only president that's been CIA director.
Yeah,
really?
I think so. And they owned the Rangers at one point, didn't they?
I thought the Bush did, or Bush Jr.
George W.
Yeah.
Okay. And so yeah, so I guess more personal note too. They were like big into baseball. Yeah.
Yeah. Because obviously, he was originally from Massachusetts and then was kind of like an East Coast Republican, and then eventually moved down to Houston just for opportunities, and then his family grew up there as well. But yeah, I mean, there's some weird, like, unfortunate kind of things that like people try to connect stuff with like Prescott, his father, just his like support at the time for. I mean, a lot of people did support Hitler at the time, just because of like the nationalism and stuff that was going on. So there's links to that, unfortunately. But the way he went and served, I believe, diffused that in a way, and like not taking his Yale scholarship and kind of sacrificing himself.
Yeah.
Like a lot of guys did during the time. But yeah, I mean, just a guy that when you like look at him, he's just like a very clean, I guess.
Yeah. And he was someone who is very well known for like not only not really wanting to fight dirty in politics, during his election bids. I mean, possibly to his detriment. I mean, like not wanting to fight dirty in politics, and then again, possibly to a fault, the level to which he worked to gain bipartisan support for a lot of different things that he tried to do during his time in office.
And also might have hurt him too with the bipartisan kind of things that he tried to coordinate.
Yeah, and then in the 92 election, obviously kind of getting, I would say, probably screwed out of it a little bit by Ross Perot.
Yeah.
Taking like almost 20% of the popular vote.
He probably would have won that election.
Without Ross Perot, I think he would have been reelected.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then his son, George W. Bush he was present. I think it was only the second time that like a father has been president. It was only the second time that a father has been president and a son been president. But the George H.W. Bush was present. That was the word I was going for. When W. Bush was inaugurated, he was there like.
Oh yeah,
at the event itself.
For sure. Yeah. Well, no, probably Adams' son would have been there.
I think. Maybe.
No, because Adams, Quincy was already born before.
No. But was John Adams there when Quincy Adams was inaugurated?
Oh, probably. I would think. No,
I'm not sure. I'm trying to remember. I know.
No. I think he died right before the 1810s.
Yeah. Okay. So he wouldn't have been there when Quincy.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, that's what I was going for. So obviously, our condolences to the Bush family. I know that there's the state funeral is tomorrow, which will be the whole like 21 gun salute thing that they do. He's currently lying in state at the Capitol Rotunda, which is a relatively rare honor, basically just for like former presidents and other significant people and like sitting senators. They're kind of really the only ones that get that sort of honor. So he's currently in rest at the Capitol Rotunda. And yeah, a man that got to live a full life and served his nation valiantly in World War II and continued to serve on the political side of things after that.
Yeah. Well, I think yesterday when I heard the Ben Shapiro show, he had like a friend that talked about him too, a very close friend. Right before he passed away, and he talked about his last words. I was like very.
He got to like have a phone conversation with like each one of his kids, and yeah, so like that's kind of the way you want it to end, I guess.
I think, and then on Twitter I saw his grandson, George Prescott Bush, who
fitting name.
I think is Jeb's son.
Okay.
He's actually he's a congressman of something. Maybe or he's in politics already. But like he showed a picture of him walking with him while he was in office, which is like kind of cool. I didn't know Jeb was actually married to, because I was like he was a little tan. I was like, okay, where did this tanness come from? Because it didn't come from Jeb, so I had to double check. And I was like, oh, his wife is actually from Mexico.
Oh, I did not.
Yeah, so like pretty interesting.
Yeah,
diversity.
Yeah.
Oh, but yes. Yeah, I don't have anything much to say. Just a guy, like I said, who was very clean in his politics. Like you said, didn't go after and say things like a lot of people do to these days.
Yeah.
But yeah, that has been it, ladies and gentlemen. But before we end this, let us know down below your, I don't know, is there a favorite George H.W. Bush memory you have, I guess?
I don't know. I mean, like I guess he was president when we were born, but
yeah.
No, he wasn't because he lost the '92 election. So no, never mind.
Oh no, yeah.
So he wasn't president while we were. I don't imagine most people to have like a favorite Bush memory, but
like I said, or maybe that I remember. I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
Depends. But yeah. That has been it, ladies and gentlemen. That has been the longest Jacob and Me podcast, almost probably coming up close. But if you haven't already, go ahead and please consider subscribing to the College Avenue channel and liking the College Avenue channel or the video on YouTube. If you're listening on the audio versions, thank you guys for listening as well. And please give us a follow or a heart on SoundCloud, the 5 stars on iTunes, and then the whatever thing they do on Google Play. Thank you guys very much for listening again, and we shall see you guys in the next episode of the Jacob and Me podcast. We'll see you guys later. Bye.